Globalism and localism change the context of films from art that is meant as a critique and art that is pandering to gain box office. Aesthetically, both Ang Lee's Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon and Edward Yang's Yi Yi are accented cinematic masterpieces in their own right. Let's chat about Ang Lee's film.
In Crouching Tiger, I A-graded B genre, which is Big Trouble, and I took something pulpy and to show the subtext of a race, a nation, a group of people, a culture.
The latter of that is important in other contexts, but within the scope of globalism, Ang Lee admits that he was grouping an entire peoples into one nation. In this context, he is summarizing and conflating the idea of wuxia, a literary fictional form of martial heroes with Chinese lore and history. Grouping these ideologies from many into a whole and presenting it to the audience. Regardless of regional differences in cultures within Eastern Asia, making it more digestible to a Western audience. With Ang Lee's more commercial training in the United States, we get over-dramatized melodrama. Or in Nafisi Hamid's writing on accented cinema, Crouching Tiger presents a romanticization of deterritorialization of different cultures through a means of fetishization of nostalgic longing to the homeland's natural landscape, mountains, monuments, and souvenirs, as seen in many shot choices of Ang Lee in the film. In juxtaposition, Yi Yi, a film that was released in the same year as Crouching Tiger, Edward Yang isn't fetishizing the landscape or character. These human and inhuman situations are presented as melancholy. There is a presentation of verisimilitude in Yi Yi's local aesthetics of population, societal global pressure, and identity. Christopher Williams' characterizations of realist films says, "Conventions does not in itself provide or imply provisions of knowledge or how things really are. On the other hand, it may, and quite often does, work within the framework or in relation to societal conventions involving truth or knowledge." Thus, in Edward's Yi Yi, there is an indirect community participation. He isn't attempting to lump a giant swath of people together in a critique of the whole. Rather, in an exploration of the small. Two scenes that couldn't be more opposite in the representation of community are when NJ speaks with his dying mother in Yi Yi, and when Master Li Mumbai is saying goodbye to Yi Shulian in Crouching Tiger. When NJ is sitting down giving his mother an apology for his and his family's apathy towards her, the shot is static, held in the situation. There is no cinematic dance. Edward is critiquing Taiwan's own inherent apathy towards the old, and its society that feels in stasis, with global pressure to accept goods and conform in a dying culture that may be lost to time if their youth don't stand up for their identity. In stark contrast, Ang Lee exploits our emotions frequently in generic style through melodrama that Linda Williams deems excessive for their gender and sex-linked pathos, for their naked displays of emotion. Notice the camera angles in this scene, getting up close with coverage and angles, focused on Yu Shulian's emotional response to being told she's loved by Master Li in his dying breath. This exploitation of emotion is representative of a filmmaker who is placating the audience by holding its hand and shoving our face into the situation rather than taking an outward, introspective look into our emotion, like Edward Yang does in Yi Yi. Ang Lee's use of generic textbook shots speak to the film as a whole. A film with a pan-Chinese take on many different cultures to make it for a more digestible film for a non-Chinese global audience.